get a little turn here, and then, well, I was gonna get an acceleration, but we're gonna kind of slow down here and then we'll punch it. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2022 Acura RDX A-Spec with the Advance package. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to Jody Wilkinson Acura here in Salt Lake for giving me some time with this RDX. Check out their inventory link below. Let's get right into the video. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 21 around town and then 26 on the highway, with power outputs being 272 horsepower and then 280 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go to the front end of the RDX. So first off, we're gonna go over the headlights because they are timed. So you can see we've got the full LED lights and then the accent light, super bright, and there's a ton of them in normal Acura fashion. Looks really good. Now, aside from the lighting, this Apex Blue really shows the body lines. Look at the hood, and then you can see here in the sunlight, just the depth on this color. Look how the trim right here is all blacked out, and then you can see the grille kind of like shows motion, which is really unique. And you got the Acura logo that doubles as a sensor at the camera there at the bottom, and then again more gloss black trim down here and then at the bottom portion of the grille. But yeah, this new version of the RDX looks really sharp. Look at that. That is just beautiful. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 55mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And notice here on the wheels themselves, they did a metallic gray for the coloration, which looks really good, and it also contrasts nicely against the Apex Blue on this particular one. We have our A-Spec badge right there, and then you can see here in the sunlight again, look at the color, just beautiful. There's blacked out trim here on the side to kind of create a little bit of contrast, and then down below with the plastic molding. And then they did the window trim all blacked out so that it kind of has that sporty look. And other than that, here's your full side appearance. Notice in the light versus in the dark, just the difference with the color. It looks good. Now here's the key fob for the new RDX. Notice we've got the Acura logo there on the back. We've got this for the remote start. You got your lock, your unlock, and then the opening for the hatch. So you just have to hold that down and it'll pop right open. Now popping here into the back, notice that we have the RDX covering here for the rear, and you can see underneath we've got a little bit of extra storage space. And then I love the trim right here. That definitely looks really sharp. And other than that, things are pretty simple here. In the back, we do have these latches that'll throw down the second row seats if you were wondering. That helps out. And then all you have to do is just press that, and then that'll lower back down the rear hatch. And let's finish things up with the rest of the rear. Finishing things here in the rear, notice that they have made this trim right here all blacked out, which is really nice. Again, contrast the Apex Blue. And then the taillights themselves, those look pretty similar. And then notice here we've got all of our regular logos. And then down below, notice that the diffuser is also gloss black. And then we have the aggressive exhaust tips on either side, which again gives it a sportier appearance from the rear. And then I like the hips here in the back. It looks good. Popping here into the back, first off we have Alcantara here on the side, and then look at the beautiful interior color on this particular one, and you can see the contrasted stitching. One of the speakers there for the sound system. And then here are the seats in the rear. So again, notice the contrast here on the seats, and then again there in the center with the perforated Alcantara. Looks fantastic. Love the piping. And then quickly popping in here, you can see the legroom, and this seat is a little bit further back than what it normally would be. That's a little bit more accurate representation. And then you can see we've got the heated seats here in the back, and then you got the USBs, cup holders. You can see the headroom and all that stuff, but pop that back into place. Let's head to the front. Now finishing things up here in the interior at the front, again we've got the Alcantara, and then if you're wondering, this interior color is called Orchid. It looks fantastic in person. Got our memory seat function right there. You can see the mirror off to the side, what that looks like. And then that's actually for the hatch. And then you've got all the controls for the mirror, and then the windows, all that fun stuff. And then here are the seats at the front. They look just as good as the seats that you have in the rear. And you can see that whole thing. And speaking of really cool Acuras, there's an NSX that I think is also finished in Apex Blue. That looks very similar. Look at that. Definitely cool to see. But anyways, notice that we've got the pedals down below. We have the A-Spec plaque right there. And then you've got this right here for the stability control, and then some of the safety tech, the parking sensors, and then the heads-up display, all that fun stuff. And yeah, there's one more look before we pop in. Look at the NSX. Such a beautiful car, and it sounds really nice too. But anyways, enough drooling. So here's our steering wheel in the RDX. Notice we have the really nice soft touch leather at the top, and then they have perfect leather here on the sides. You get a really good grip on the steering wheel. Feels fantastic. Paddle shifters there in the back for the 10-speed automatic. Heated steering wheel control. We've got our volume voice command controls. We have our cruise control with the steering assistance. Got our A-Spec badge right there. And then notice how you have the turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and it's off the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. Love the coloration on the gauges, just really stands out and just pops. And then notice here you can customize some different things with the different menus, then also see different bits of information on the car, like, you know, tire pressure, for example. And overall that center screen is really easy to use, and I like the animation look on it. But we have our dynamic modes to go through. So first off, we have a snow mode. And then we have a comfort, we have a normal, and then we have a sport. And then notice how it shows us there with the turbo on the sport mode. I think that that is pretty cool. And I also like the sound when you change the drive modes. Speaking of drive modes and all that fun stuff, we do have the infotainment system. Now this is not a touchscreen, so you can see that I am pressing it and nothing happens. It's all controlled via a keypad. Really easy to use, really intuitive as well. It's actually probably the best keypad system ever used in a car, so no complaints that this isn't a touchscreen. But aside from that, we'll actually pop into reverse. You can see the backup camera function, bird's eye view, and then the trajectory lines do turn with the steering wheel, so it's really good from a camera system perspective. But yeah, that's all for the infotainment system, and you guys already saw Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I mean, what more do you expect? You can see the infotainment system, that goes into the rest of the dash. We've got our dual zone climate here, heated cooled seats for the front, and then the drive mode select that they stole out of the NSX, just saying, got to put that in there. And then also the transmission select right here, and then you've got the drive, and then you've got the S mode as well, which is kind of like a, it's like got a double sport mode in a sense, because the S mode isn't a full manual mode. It's just like, you'll see when we drive, it's interesting how they have that. Also, auto stops are off to the side. I like how this is red, just like the gauge cluster. And then this is the keypad to control the infotainment system with its wrist rest. Say that 10 times. And then you've got all of the leather with the stitching. Wireless phone charger hiding out down here with the charging area. So I guess that this is like our super secret hidden charging area. Got some cup holders right here. And then notice that this trim piece covers everything here in the center. And then we have the console. And notice again with the orchid on top, looks fantastic. And then we have the stitched Alcantara here. And you can see the trim all around the glove box. And it's actually soft to the touch if you were wondering. Now I've got that button right there, press that, and that'll open up the glove box itself. And I like how this trim piece connects to the dash and then also the door, so that that all flows in one nice line. Now up top here we have our sunglass holder, and then this does have a full panoramic sunroof. The controls for the sunroof are just right there, and then all black headliner. So, per normal, there is quite a bit of glare, so it's kind of hard to see the window sticker itself. But most stuff is standard equipment on the RDX A-Spec with the advanced package, if you guys are wondering. So the base MSRP is $51,300. Now, what this one does have is the Apex Blue Pearl Coat, which does increase the price a little bit. And then after destination and all that fun stuff, we have a total MSRP of $52,845. And with all that being said, let's take it out and drive it. And also the NSX is moving again. Look at that. Look, this would be a cool garage. You got the SUV and then you got the cool fun sports car. They look so cool next to each other. Like that is cool. Quick go over visibility before we set off. There's your visibility over the hood, and notice we got the heads-up display, and also this is soft touch. I was not expecting that. There is through both the mirrors, and then the rest of the rear. And with all that being said, let's set off. So we are setting off here in the RDX, and first off, feels punchy as ever. Let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, yeah, it does a really good job, actually. This road's beat up. Like, this is as beat up as it gets pretty much here in, well, maybe not as beat up as it gets in Salt Lake, but it's pretty bad. There's little potholes everywhere and just unevenness in the pavement, and it's obnoxious, right? And yeah, it just doesn't upset the RDX, so that is good. I love how the steering wheel is, just like the finger holds on it are perfect. Like this steering wheel, you can actually hold it like this, which is how you're supposed to hold a steering wheel, but it's comfortable to hold it like this. Not a lot of steering wheels are like that. So Acura did a really good job. It's almost like they put people that like to drive cars in their vehicles and had them design the steering wheel. It's a joke because that's what they did. Anyways, let's pop it over into the sport mode, which has a really cool graphic there to the side, which shows it like going at hyper speed, and then we'll pop it into the S mode as well. So everything is as sporty as it gets. Get a little turn here, and then, well, I was gonna get an acceleration, but we're gonna kind of slow down here, and then we'll punch it. Wow, this thing just gets up and it moves. 10 speed's really good at putting it in the right gear, I will say that. And it's just responsive, it really is. And it's not a huge SUV, so it doesn't need a massive amount of power. This has more than enough, and it actually sounds good for a 4-cylinder. Yeah, usually 4-cylinders don't sound this good, but this actually sounds good. Now I'll pop it into the manual mode so we can manually shift it. Transmission's really responsive. You know, it's a downshift too. Yeah, really responsive. This reminds me of the Type S a lot. The new TLX Type S. I drove that here at Jody Wilkinson, but then also in Colorado as well. And I'll just hold down the plus pedal and that'll pop it back into automatic mode. So as I was saying, this really reminds me of the Type S. Even though this isn't an RDX Type S, it's just, you know, an A-Spec. It's just, it has that same sporty feeling and responsiveness and everything. So I can't imagine, if they threw the powertrain in the Type S in this, that would be pretty crazy. But we'll sum things up and give this a score. So first off, exterior-wise, I think this looks fantastic. It looks just slightly better than the previous version. The RDX I felt like was already a really good looking SUV. This just takes it up a notch, but yeah, looks fantastic on the outside. Love the styling. Interior wise, I love the layout. Really comfortable, comes with good tech features, good comfort features. And so yeah, really good from an interior perspective. And then from a driving perspective, it's fun, it's sporty, but it's also comfortable. You definitely could daily drive it. They've just done a really good job with the balance of this vehicle, is the best way to put it. Look at that blue. Oh my goodness, that is bright. Wow. I love Acura's new colors too, so we're gonna put that in the video. And so as an overall score, so this is kind of like a, you know, smaller size luxury SUV. I'd have to say that this is like an 8.5 out of 10. I can't give it a perfect score because they have the new MDX Type S coming out, and you know, maybe they'll do a Type S version of this. It sounds like they're going to, and so that obviously will have a little bit of a higher score. But this, I mean, it's amazing. And especially if you don't want to spend Type S money, but you still want pretty much the Type S experience, RDX A-Spec, and this specific one with the color on the exterior and interior is just fantastic. Now let's get some things up for our video on this 2022 Acura RDX with the A-Spec package and the Advance package. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Jody Wilkinson Acura here in Salt Lake for giving me some time with this RDX. Check out the inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.